Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 40. Episode 40 of Music is None of Our Business. I'm astounded we got past 10, to be honest. But yeah, episode 40. So this week we decided to go back to picking a year, and we've picked 1980. I was a guest on another podcast recently called Friday Vinyl Club, and they asked me to pick an album to talk about, and at that time I picked 17 Seconds by The Cure, which was 1980. The reason being that I think 1980 was kind of the year that our musical taste really spread. And I think there was a lot more. There was a lot of really interesting music started coming out. We'd kind of moved on from. We hadn't moved on from punk, but punk had kind of taken a tiny backseat at that time, I think. I mean, you had, I think, Crass and Discharge were kind of the big punk bands at that time, and some others who I'm bound to get to. But the second wave of punk hadn't really taken off just yet, had it?
No.
I think that was more 1981. That kind of started.
Yeah, the bands. Some of those bands were forming at the end of the 70s and in the early 80s, but they weren't really out there. We hadn't really got access to them. They hadn't released records and stuff that we got hold of.
Absolutely.
And you're right. I think,
and we had a.
I was going to say, I think you're right. That first flash of energy around the first wave of punk, I think it well, for me anyway, it was fading a little. I was finding that there was some good music, some great bands in there, but quite a lot of stuff that wasn't really saying anything to me, and it was just rock music with a little bit of swearing, really. Yeah,
I know what you mean. And 1980 was the kind of year. I think that, you know, the people who had kind of been through punk started, you know, discovering synthesizers, and so you had a kind of a big, you know, a bloom of new music, and new types of, like, I mean, post punk, what would now be called post punk. That was all kind of taken off. Although having said that, I've got to admit, I've left a lot of the bigger LPs for that year off of my list because I think we've talked about them a lot already.
Yeah.
So what I tried to do, I might probably say, I've tried to go back there, and rather than kind of look back and go, oh, that was a great album, go, right, well, this is what I was listening to. This is what I listened to probably the most that year. Which has caused great amounts of confusion, and also a list that I still really we're starting. That I've got the first three. The last two could change at any minute. I'm still debating
it's volatile.
What to go with. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm saying, punk had gone down, but probably I've got a list of about 8 records here. Probably 5 of which are punk.
Yeah, there's some great punk records released in 1980, no doubt about it.
And it's hard to, like, ignore them, because even though, you know, I think that given the ones I'm trying to avoid, for one reason or another, it's hard. Anyway, let's fucking go. Let's just go. I'm going to just talk myself into a. I'm going to talk myself into a hole as I normally do.
Yeah. So okay, who's going first this time then?
I'll go first if you want.
Go on then.
So my first one is one of the bands we were listening to a lot. I've gone for UK Subs.
Brand New Age.
Well, I thought about Brand New Age, but Crash Course came out that year as well.
Right, okay.
And so I kind of put UK Subs, Brand New Age, stroke Crash Course. So these were the years where I mean, bands were releasing an album a year.
Yes,
you know, still. Yeah. I mean, after, you know, I mean, The Clash did it, Stranglers did it, and even now, you know, UK Subs, 1979 was Another Kind of Blues. 1980, Brand New Age, and Crash Course. Although Crash Course was a live. It
was a live
LP.
one, yeah.
Yeah, and I always had a soft spot for Crash Course because, you know, the music was great. They got songs from, obviously, the first 2 LPs, but also some of the greatest between song banter in the world. Totally nonsensical at times.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie Harper and his famous, it's Friday night, we got to have some fun tonight, otherwise it fucking ain't worth a fuck. You know, it's like, the fuck, what, Charlie? You know, and then it kind of talks about, we've been to Newcastle, Manchester, somewhere else, all over the place. Ah! It's like, fucking hell. Someone had a couple too many baby shams before the fucking gig started. But yeah, and I think UK Subs were a big band for all of us, weren't they?
Yeah,
I mean, it was
band.
great run of singles, all coloured vinyl, and we all had a soft spot for coloured vinyl. The LPs all on coloured vinyl, and then an alphabetical as well. They started with I don't know whether that was the plan from the start or they just happened to start with another kind of blues and then went, what should we call it? Oh, actually, let's do it alphabetically. And then so you have Brand New Age, Crash Course, Diminished Responsibility, Emotional. No, was it? It wasn't Emotional Blackmail, was it? What was the E?
I can't
No, I can't remember either. Flood of Lies was there. I can't do the whole lot.
It's too many to be a coincidence, but it's an odd thing to do, I suppose. But odd things happen.
Yeah, and you've got to be supremely confident that you're going to release 26 albums as well. Although they did that, I think they released him. If I remember rightly, they actually released another live LP in 1980 as well.
Oh, really? I don't.
Which was called Live Kicks.
Oh, right.
That was 1980 as well. Yeah. And I got a feeling that was that an import or something.
I don't know. I can remember the title. I can't remember what was on it.
But yeah, so UK Subs originally were going to be the Subversives. And then changed it to UK Subversives and then UK Subs. And Charlie Harper, I'm pretty sure we've talked about him a bit before.
We have a bit, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie Harper was a hairdresser and singer in R&B because he's ancient, isn't he? He's 80.
He's going to be 80 some odd, yeah.
Yeah, and they're still playing live as well.
Yeah,
fucking amazing, absolutely amazing.
They were banned from going into the United States last year, I think.
Yeah, Alvin Gibbs and guitarist, was it? I think Charlie Harper might have got through.
Oh, did he? I thought
I think he did.
Stopped.
No, I think there was two of them got stopped, and the others got through. Right. I don't know if they actually played a acoustic gig or something like that. Right. I'm not really sure. Yeah. But yeah, so formed in '76 originally. And Charlie Harper was like I say, was an R&B singer, also a hairdresser. And I think they kind of, to a degree, would just jumped on the bandwagon. I think they were pub rock band to start with. Yeah. And then just released some fantastic singles and LPs. I mean, it was basically meat and potatoes punk rock, wasn't it? You know, 3 chords and but some cracking songs. I mean, the first single, CID, is an absolute banger of a single. But I mean, Brand New Age had Warhead on, one of their most famous singles, and covered by that world famous Fen punk band Cataleptic Fate, who we were members of.
Kind of covered, yeah.
Covered really badly, yeah. What were the other singles? Teenage was a single off there.
Was my favourite. Yeah, I loved that.
I want to be teenage. Great fucking song that was. Yeah. Great song.
That's probably my favourite.
And an Emotional Blackmail is a absolute classic, that is. And then I think we saw them in 1980. We went to see them at Cromer, West Runton Pavilion. Did you get that one?
No, I didn't.
That was on one of the coaches that we used to. David Lyons used to organise coaches, and that was brilliant. I think the Addicts were the support band, and then we saw them the next year at the Corn Exchange. Actually, it might have been the other way around. We might have seen them at the Corn Exchange first, and then I don't fucking
It doesn't
know.
matter.
Oh, who knows? I mean, to set the scene, we were 15 in 1980, weren't we?
14, 15,
and
yeah.
14, and then becoming 15. And we'd known each other at our first school, and then you'd gone off to the grammar school, and I'd stayed with little thickos at the comprehensive.
Yes.
And so we kind of renewed our friendship. Not this year, would have been
the
year after. Yeah, but not so 1980 really. I mean, it was a perfect start to a new decade, really. It was because you were having all this new music coming out. You were, like I say, you had the hangover of punk, and the few punk bands just kind of dwindling out. Some newer ones starting. UK subs kind of just scratched that itch, really, didn't they?
Yeah, they were good, straightforward, honest punk rock.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've still got the original of Brand New Age was on clear vinyl,
right?
And over the years, it's kind of turned into this nicotine yellow vinyl. It looks fucking horrible. Yes. I must admit, I haven't played it in ages because I think I bought a reissue that had a load of bonus tracks as well. So I haven't played my original for a long while. I don't know if I dare, actually. I just imagine when I take the stylus off at the end of it, it'll be covered in some kind of radioactive sludge or something for some reason.
It's your 40-a-day Marlborough habit over many
quite
years.
Possibly, yeah. Did you ever see them live?
No, and they played in Mansfield.
Really?
We had a pub up here, the Town Mill, and they used to have live bands on. My son played there a couple of times, and they had live bands on. And UK subs came up to play here, but I think for some work reason I was going away somewhere, and I missed it. I couldn't see it, which was a real pisser. But no, I never did see them live.
Yeah, they were great bands, and they were always touring. Yeah, I think they played. They played Cambridge a few times, I think, back in the 80s. Like I say, we went to the one, and I this is why I get confused, because I remember when we saw them, the stage was all covered in kind of camouflage netting.
Right.
So I kind of assumed that was because of Warhead.
Right.
But the timescales don't quite work out, because when we saw them, and I can't remember what fucking tour we saw them on in West Runton, so that might have been later. That might have been like a 81 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah, that's my first pick.
Okay.
UK subs, Brand New Age.
Okay.
Stroke Crash Course.
Good one. Well, strangely, as a slight aside, but with a neat connection. Obviously, I knew a guy called Andy Frantic, who I was in a punk band with, the Frantics. And the Frantics lived between 83 and 86-ish. And then we got fed up, went our own separate ways and so on. And Andy went on to form a band called War Dance with Giz Butt from the Destructors. And then after that, he actually played bass with the UK subs for a while. And by miraculous coincidence, I earlier this week found a whole load of old Frantics recordings that we made on tape and vinyl, and digitized them and uploaded them to the Corrosive Growth Industries Bandcamp website. So if anybody out there would like to hear some classic melodious punk from the mid-80s, the Frantics material, all that I've got is out there at corrosivegrowthindustries.bandcamp.com. Where you'll find a whole raft of other fascinating music as well.
Yep, and there's a link in on our Facebook page. There's also a link to Corrosive Growth in the link tree on Instagram.
Super duper.
So there you go. Yes, have a listen. I remember I bought your single. I bought the Frantic single.
So damn ugly one. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, just out of kind of loyalty to my old mate.
It's a decent record. Actually, listening back to it for the first time in years, it was better than I remembered it. But there you go.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, my first choice then comes as a result of the many hours I spent at March Library. Now, initially, that was all about their wide range of horror story books, which I was a great fan of. And they had stacks of them, and you could go.
James Herbert.
James Herbert. I used to like these collections of short horror stories.
Oh, the Pan.
That's Pan's Book of Horror. And there were others of that ilk as well. I used to like those, but yeah, all these others.
My godfather, who lived in March, had a story published.
Right, I might have read it.
In fact, I'm pretty sure I've still got the book, and he signed it for me as well. So.
I might have read it. But I think from what I remember, you also used to be able to toddle along there and pick up and read Sounds and Melody Maker if you couldn't afford that week to buy them, because they had a newspaper section in the reference section. But in 1980 or thereabouts, shortly before then, they did the amazing thing of starting to lend out music cassettes. And they had this cylinder of music cassettes. And one of the first and finest albums that I picked up from this wonderful catalogue was 1980 album Freedom of Choice by Devo, which I thought, that looks interesting. The first single I ever bought from Keith Records was Secret Agent Man by Devo. So I knew
Secret Asian Man.
Yeah, which has got the strange B-side Sue Bolt on it, which I never quite understood. But I kind of thought Devo are quite interesting. Don't know a lot about them. They look strange. They look different. I'll give it a go. What a fantastic album that is. It is truly Ramones-esque in the way that just these brief 2-3 minute tuneful blasts of song. There's only 2 tracks on the whole album that get through 3 minutes, and only just then. But Devo were a band from Akron, Ohio, who were out to raise eyebrows.
Home of Rubber. Apparently.
Of Rubber.
Home of Rubber.
Yes, and Chrissie Hynde.
Yes, it was.
And I think the Black Keys are from there as well.
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah, definitely Chrissie Hynde. Yeah.
But they set up to raise eyebrows, and they started this interesting electronic arty band. And the Devo is short for devolution, because it was their kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of statement that humankind is going to devolve, not evolve. And that's what they saw happening in society in many ways already. So they had a certain look, which quite often was matching boiler suits in lurid colours. And they had some peculiar headgear as well, which they used to use. It looked very much like inverted flower pots, but they were actually specially made energy domes. What they were supposed to do, I don't know. But here they were with Freedom of Choice, which, as I say, is a terrific, terrific album. One of the best tracks on it, actually, is the opening track, Girl You Want.
She's just a girl. She's just a girl. The girl you want.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm not sure about the lyrics, though. She sends an aroma of undefined love. It drips on down in a mist from above. I'm not sure that sounds very pleasant, to be honest.
I think I know her. I think I know her, actually.
But they're great tunes. It's jagged stuff. It's really clean music. But the drumming is just straightforward motoric. There's no need to be arsing around with flourishes and fills. He just starts and carries the song through. The melodies and the electronics roll around it. The vocals, not really sung as such. They're more stated. It's not spoken word. It's somewhere in between. It's kind of like stated.
I would have thought they were yelped.
Yeah, kind of.
They kind of had a yelp to them, didn't they?
Yeah, it's got a certain tonality that makes it more than just spoken word. It's almost instructional, yeah. But it's got Whip It on it, which is one of the great songs they ever put together. Everybody must have heard Whip It at some point. Apparently, it was based on the riff of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman, which I listened back to and I think, is it really? But apparently it was. And the label, Warner Brothers, really, really didn't want to release Whip It. So they chose Girl You Want and insisted on it being Girl You Want, and Girl You Want flopped. But there was a record promoter in the southern states who really liked Whip It, and he got lots of radio stations down there to play it, which kind of forced Warner Brothers to release it after all. And it ended up reaching number 14 in the Billboard charts.
Fucking hell. Do you think we should clear it up, and the fact that the song is about whipping something with a whip and not about a small greyhoundish type dog?
He might go whip it. He might go.
It's an easy mistake to make. Whip it good. Whip it.
Well, the big misunderstanding, which caused it a lot of problems in terms of airplay, was that it was inaccurately associated with masturbation and sadomasochism.
Oh, right.
In fact, the actress or actor Lily Tomlin, she actually complained about Devo appearing with her on an American show called Midnight Special, to the extent that they got banned because she didn't like it that these upstarts, these weirdos, were singing about masturbation. They would be on the same show. So it was quite counterproductive in some ways.
Whip it out. I can understand being offended by that, but whip it is a totally different.
I don't know. But it didn't help.
Kind of thing, isn't it?
Didn't help that it was a big hit in gay clubs, which I think just kind of prompted the conservative right to even be more offended automatically. You know, it didn't fit with their worldview.
Good.
But there isn't a weak track on this album, all the way through Ton of Love, Freedom of Choice, Gates of Steel. I love Gates of Steel. It is a fantastic album. Yeah, it was their biggest album. Got to number 22 on the charts.
I kind of overlook it, really, and I shouldn't, because I really love Are We Not Men?
Yeah,
the first LP.
We Are Devo.
To the extent I've got about 12 copies, all on different coloured vinyls. I know. They need to go. They need to go at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and after that, I liked all the early. So I remember buying what was it, Mongoloid?
Oh, Mongoloid. Yeah.
Jocko Homo from got that from Keith's in the punk box.
Yeah.
I remember buying that, and also Be Stiff on the clear vinyl. That was I bought that as well.
Just can't get no satisfaction. The rather bizarre cover.
I just get no satisfaction.
Very odd
I'm doing
cover.
the jerky dance as well. Trivia. Gel Casal and Bob
Mother's
Lewis.
Bowl. Oh, no, the other one.
Gel Casal particularly was at Kent State at the time of the Kent State University.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the reasons for the naming of the band Devolution.
Yes, so that had a lot to do with with starting Devo.
Yeah,
I loved it. I think Devo great. I really like Devo. So I thoroughly agree with that choice.
Excellent.
It's a fantastic choice. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Right. So my number 2 is despite what I said about us branching off into things other than punk, is another punk LP. And I had to put this one in because I know for a fact I would have been listening to this constantly in 1980, and it's Nobody's Heroes by Stiff Little Fingers. Absolute classic. I mean, not quite as good as the debut album, but very little is. I mean, that was one of the punk classics, wasn't it? It was such a kind of blast of unexpected blast. Sorry, frog in my throat.
I think when they've been mentioned before, I've said I didn't really kind of embrace SLF.
Yeah, I was a massive fan.
Yeah.
I think I heard Suspect Device on John Peel and went, fucking hell, yes, gotta get this. It was kind of that. I think it was like I was talking about Discharge on Instagram this week, and it kind of seemed to be like the next step when Stiff Little Fingers came out. In that you'd had like the Clash and Damned and the original, kind of punk bands, and then Stiff Little Fingers kind of stepped it up a little bit. It was a bit rawer and a bit faster, and it had that kind of, Jake Burns had that kind of voice. bit more political. And then and then kind of next really was probably Discharge, because that was another, that was another step along. That was
leap
kind
forward.
of just fucking what the fuck was that, but Stiff Little Fingers, I'd seen them. I went to see them in Peterborough on the Gotta Get Away tour in '79, and they were fucking amazing, absolutely amazing. And then this was their second album, the first on a major label. A lot more production had gone into it, and it was a lot, but it still it still had that rawness to it, but just had some absolute classic songs on it and classic singles as well. Because at the time, I think one of the reasons I kind of struggled a bit with LPs for 1980 to a degree, because I still was a massive fan of singles,
right?
And a lot of the bands that released singles in 1980 probably didn't release albums, if at all, until 81. I kind of found this long list of punk singles from 1980, and there were some absolute bangers on there.
Yeah.
And that was why because I emailed you earlier today and said, do we do singles or LPs?
It's because I'm organised, as your mate Jamie quite properly noted.
But I'm very organised. But the trouble I had a fucking massive. Well, I was this week. I had a fucking massive list of LPs, and then when I kind of thought, "Fuck, what about the singles?"
Yeah,
it just threw me completely.
That's a whole
into
of the
this
podcast.
Kind of, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But this, I mean, Nobody's Heroes had "Gotta Get Away" was a single. At the Edge.
At the Edge is a good song. I quite like that.
That is a brilliant single. Nobody's Hero was a single, and that was a double A side with Tin Soldiers. They also did a cover of "Doesn't Make It All Right" by the Specials, which was a very anti-racist song. They also did a dub version of one of their B-sides, "Bloody Sunday," and stuck that in the middle of it, and it's a really good dub song as well. They did a really good job of it, and they kind of didn't really tone down the politics either. Lots of songs about the troubles in Ireland, probably not quite as explicit as the original, as not as explicit as the first LP, but a lot more, and a lot more about Gotta Get Away and At the Edge were about being a teenager and wanting to just break out, and they were just they were on such a run at that time, and they were probably the biggest punk band in Britain, I would think, at that time, or probably were the most popular, although Crass were catching up. I mean, because this is the year when Crass released the Bloody Revolution single, and that was kind of what. I mean, that was massive, wasn't it?
It wasn't massive in the way that the Edge was. I mean, the Edge was some point in the UK charts, wasn't it? Bloody Revolutions was indie chart material, but not mainstream chart.
Still sold a lot of copies, though.
It depends on what you call big, doesn't it? I mean, big commercially or big in terms of influence, or
I think
whatever.
Big in terms of influence. I think you'd had with Crash, you'd had Feeding the 5,000 and Stations the Crash, which were 79. 80 was kind of a year when they released
Christ
Revolutions, and Christ was a lot,
was quite a lot later.
81 was Penis Envy. So in 80, all they did was release singles. I think they released Nagasaki Nightmare as well.
That's brilliant.
But back to Stiff Little Fingers. So Stiff Little Fingers appeared on Top of the Pops. As you say, they were really big. I saw them again that year. Did you go and see them at the Corn Exchange?
Never wanted to go and see them. Never bothered.
No, we all piled over on the train and got chased all the way back to the station by mods. as you did
because you said
in
when you
1980.
mentioned SLF on a previous podcast episode, you'd said that there was always a bad crowd at SLF gigs. So I don't know what was that all about then.
No, I don't think it was. No, I think that was a I don't think I said that at SLF.
Sure, you
SLF
did.
seemed to be, but possibly. I don't know. No, I always thought that SLF crowds were pretty decent.
Okay.
I think the first time I really experienced a bad crowd was the Mac lads.
Yeah.
And that was proper fucking scary, that one was. And then we got chased after this one. We got chased, me and Neil got chased after the Damned at Peterborough, the 81 gig. We got chased back to, I got chased fucking miles. Well, I think we did that. They probably gave up after about 100 meters. We just kept fucking running, going fucking hell, because there were loads of the bastards.
Oh, really?
Well, when I say loads of bastards, that's how I remember it. There were probably 2. They probably chased us for 10 feet. We just kept running. But you know what it's like? I mean, it was fucking 40, 50 years ago almost.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to remember. Neil might remember. I'll have to ask him. But yeah, so yeah, Stiff Little Fingers.
Okay.
You know, out of Belfast. You know, first album very political. This one a bit more polished, still very good. And funnily enough, that year, 1980, they released a live album as well, same as UK Subs had done, and their live album was called Hanks. And I never really liked it that much. I didn't think it came over as well. Do you know what I hated about Hanks?
His performance in Forrest Gump?
No, people clapping along to the, you know, when they were doing Gotta Get Away, they were doing, you know, do-do-dum, dum, do-do-dum, and people were going, do-do-dum, dum, do-do-dum, dum, do-do-dum, dum, and I was like, fuck off with you clapping, you shitbags. What are you, fucking 12? You know, it really bugged me, and it just ruined the live LP for me.
Okay.
Because this was around the time they were also doing like novelty cover versions.
Right. So what was Hanks then? Obviously, it wasn't about Tom Hanks. It wasn't about something owned by Hank Marvin.
When Jake Burns always had this gravelly voice, and when he went to say thanks, it always came out as Hanks.
Okay.
Hanks. And so it got called Hanks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just shit title, but you know,
yeah.
I'm just splitting hairs now. But yeah, I mean, Nobody's Heroes, Stiff Little Fingers. They were my band. You know, they were my favourite band at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay.
I stop waffling and
finished.
You can go on and do your waffling is finished.
Okay, my waffling
Done.
is much less
over
waffling.
and done with. No more waffling from me. None at all.
Shut up. Right, my second one then. In earlier episodes, I have made plain my love of systems music, the repetitive, minimalist, contemporary classical music practiced by Philip Glass and Terry Riley, both of whom I've listed in our podcasts before. This episode, I've got another of the titans of contemporary avant-garde classical in my picks. Also from the school of minimalism and repetition of systems, and this time it's a term of Steve Reich and his 1980 release called Octet, Music for Large Ensemble Violin Phase, which sounds...
Was that Steve Reich in the Afternoon? It's a lovely show on radio.
Oh dear. No, Reich, not right. So it's called Octet, Music for Large Ensemble Violin Phase. It's not really an album title. It's 3 pieces of music, 3 movements. And it's just the titles of each of those 3 movements put together. So the first is called Octet, then Music for Large Ensemble, then Violin Phase, although they don't appear on the record in that order. But anyway, at the dawn of the 80s, like you were saying, we kind of, first wave of punk had kind of not run its course, but it was getting a little bit stale and we were looking for other things. And, you know, as you said, we're looking at electronic music and industrial music. But one of the areas that I'd gone off looking as well was Radio 3. And I'd been listening to Radio 3 quite a lot. particularly a program, I think it was called Mixing It, that used to come on late at night. And on there, you could hear all kinds of things, from Negative Land to Tibetan Buddhist chants and Karlheinz Stockhausen and all kinds of stuff. But it was possibly on that show or some other show on Radio 3 where I kind of got exposed to Glass and Riley and Reich and really, really liked it, to the extent that I never went to see Reich live, but I did go to an avant-garde music seminar where I learned how to develop unique modes of musical transcription and notation, and understood how people like Stockhausen created music and wrote music, and it was fascinating thing. But anyway, this record is 3 movements, as I say. Each one of them, you'll be pleased to know, is in excess of 15 minutes running time. Released by ECM.
Wonderful.
And it's...
Can't remember last time I had a 15-minute movement. Probably after a curry.
They're much faster than that with a curry, aren't they? They're Ramones-esque movements, indeed, if ever there was one. Oh, napalm death sometimes. Anyway, that's what it feels like sometimes if you really hit the fouls or something. The first movement of this then is music for large ensembles, and it has repeating sequences of percussion embedded in a warm expanse of similarly cycling strings. The repetition doesn't preclude evolution, though, and there are all manner of gradual changes that are working through this piece. The music of Reich and Glass and Riley sometimes in the past has been called zombie music, as if kind of cloth ears have just tuned in for a few minutes, thought nothing's happening, and tuned out again. But if you engage with this music, however long it is, you will hear all manner of other things happening in it. I kind of liken it to flying over Canada, over the Canadian steppes in the north of Canada, which feels like hours and hours of completely featureless granite beneath you. But if you actually look and watch, you'll see all kinds of things changing, all kinds of things in the landscape changing. And it's not as barren and plain as you might think if you just glance out the window every so often and thought, oh, it's just the same. This music's the same. If you dip into it, dip out, dip into it and dip out and don't really engage with it, then it loses, I think it would lose an awful lot of the subtle nuances and evolution within it. It's great. It's wonderful because that's what makes this music. The second piece, violin phase, is more obvious because rather than music for large ensemble, which as it sounds is a lot of instrumentation, violin phase has 2 violins and they both play repeating patterns for 15 minutes, but the patterns are not the same length. So what happens is the 2 move out of synchronization and become discordant and play against each other because the patterns are different and they're at different lengths. And then slowly they will come back together again and they become harmonic, they become congruous again. But then they will slip away again. And it's quite an hypnotic sensation. It's very nominally attractive, I think, the way it moves back and forth. And then the third and final movement, which is the longest piece, 18 minutes, the whole ensemble at work again. And this is perhaps busier, if you like. It is all sequences of repetition and the instrumentation is coming and going. Different instruments come in and go out. It's a bit like Terry Riley's In C, where there's a lot of instrumentation playing different patterns, starting at different times, stopping at different times. So the basic motif continues with different instruments picking up the baton, as it were, and other instruments coming in and moving alongside, sidling up, running parallel, and then splitting off and diverging. So it's morphing and it's shading, and there's, again, a whole wonderfully mesmerizing soundscape. It sounds really refreshing and light, though, because the tonality of the instruments, it's like a cool summer shower or something like that. The notes glisten and they cascade, and it's just lovely. It's just lovely the way it works its passage over these 17-18 minutes. So the whole album, it's something, as I say, that I kind of picked up from Radio 3 back in the 80s. And, I've loved all this kind of stuff ever since. For all the other phases of music that have gone through, and you mentioned Crass and Discharge, and we've talked about Throbbing Gristle and all these other extremities of music, I still always find time to pick up Glass or Reich or Riley or something and just lay back and feel transported, feel kind of drawn in to this otherworldly systems music, and it's great. It's difficult to explain how interesting it is. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. I mean, I kind of was probably a bit later than you into music of that ilk. I probably got, when I got into ambient music,
right,
was probably but that's, I completely understand, and all the different, because you think ambient music, but ambient music is just like, you've got so many extremes from one to the other, and so many different sounds that you can get into slow music. So yeah, totally get that. I love sitting back and listening to slow music. I'll give Steve Reich a listen.
It's a good starting place. I got quite a lot of his records. Music for 18 musicians is really, really good. Different Trains. There's a lot of. He's done a lot of albums. Different Trains has even got samples in it of conductors from old US railway stations and stuff. Yeah, that kind of thing. And this cycling music. It's great. He's really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll give it a bash.
Cool.
Super. Okay, so my number 3. Well, I'm pretty sure I've always threatened to talk about this record. I don't think I have before.
You threatened to talk about it. Wow. Okay.
But 1980. This album. I know I always go, it's one of my favourite albums ever. This is genuinely one of my favourite LPs of all time. And as soon as I say it, you'll go, yeah. Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls.
Oh right. Okay. Yeah.
Fuck me. I love this album. And the fact that it came out in 1980 is just mind-blowing, because it was so far ahead of its time that it pretty much got ignored. People just weren't ready for it. If this had come out 2 or 3 years later, it would have been massive, I think. But people just weren't ready for it at the time. So Pauline Murray had been lead singer in Penetration, a punk band from I think they're from Durham, Newcastle, up the north, up north. And she'd seen this. I think she went to see the Sex Pistols in Manchester, and probably with her boyfriend Robert Blamier, and they went back and formed Penetration, a great punk band. Did a couple of albums for Virgin, and then split. And she carried on writing songs, and went into a studio with Martin Hannett, the producer,
famous guy,
the world famous producer, who went on to record Joy Division, and just created just this absolutely timeless classic of an LP. And weirdly, because at the time she said that she felt a bit musically, she felt a bit squeezed out. She felt like she was going in, giving them the songs, and Martin Hannett and the Invisible Girls, who were I think was Robert Blamier, John Marr from the Buzzcocks, Vinnie Riley from Durutti Column, and probably a couple of others whose names escape me at the moment, kind of were put in the, they were just took over the music, and she felt like she said, I felt like I was going in at times, singing the songs, and then leaving. But when the album came out, just glorious, absolutely glorious. It's just kind of this kind of spangly electronic pop that like I say would be really, really popular in a couple of years' time.
Popular music usually is, because that's what pop means.
Yes, I'm aware of that. It probably wasn't very well worded, fuck nuts. But yeah, but it was just gorgeous. It just shimmers and sparkles, and her lyrics are fantastic. Her lyrics are about everything from like mental health, and just what she was going through at that time. Her voice was just was never better. And like I say, the music just, I think when it was all done and dusted, she was really happy with it. And it came out on RSO Records, which was the same label the Bee Gees were on at the time. Right. And got some good reviews, and then just fucking disappeared. It just disappeared, and no one listened to it apart from me and Neil. And we absolutely loved it. We just played it to death, and I still do now. I play. My girls know it. I've played it to the girls. The girls used to love it when they were younger. It's just been constantly on. And she did. I think she did a small tour where she played probably a handful of gigs in Europe and a few in the UK. There were a few videos around. There was a she did a TV special, I think in Belgium, that you can find on YouTube. And then that was it. And it was just forgotten for years and years and years, and just became this kind of lost masterpiece, really. And I mean, I constantly would, encourage people. Have you ever heard Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls? It's just brilliant. And I just, every time I saw a copy in a secondhand shop, I'd buy it and give it to someone. I've probably got 6 or 7 copies. I've got probably a couple of vinyl copies.
People giving them back.
I've got a box set. I've got that on cassette. I've got it on CD. It is just a phenomenal LP. And then a couple of years ago, she was going to do a gig in Bush Hall in London and play it in its entirety, and I just about fainted.
Yeah.
And it got cancelled. I can't remember why. And then she went on tour with the Psychedelic Furs and playing the album. So I went along to see them at Cambridge Junction, because I'm a massive Psychedelic Furs fan as well. Mm-hmm. But oh my god, I don't get emotional at gigs. Fucking hell, hearing those songs live, it really was quite an emotional experience. When you've played them so much and the fucking things inside out, back to front, all the B-sides from that, from there, you just know that the songs so well, and to finally hear them live after, like, I think it was like probably 40 years, was fucking absolutely mind blowing. One of the best things ever. Yeah, I cannot tell you how much I absolutely adore this LP.
I think we're getting a general sense, to be honest.
I know. It's weird. It's a really kind of it has a real emotional impact on me because I've listened to it for so many years, so often. It's part of my music fiber, I suppose. It just exists there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, music has that.
I think you do. Yeah.
Music always has, like, it can have such an emotional impact on you, and certain songs can do it, but when a whole fucking LP does it to you, it really is something else. And it's it's really hard to, like, put it into words how much of a, because I've shared it with mates, like I think about it, and playing it at home, in my mum and dad's house, playing it, round Neil's when we used to go and hang out in his room and we just fucking play records all the time. Pauline Murray and the Invisible Girls was was just a staple. That, and Secondhand Daylight and the first Joseph K LP, the only Joseph K LP. They just got played to death. And this one, followed me through every house I've ever lived in. I can remember I'll have played it at least once. And then when the girls, we used to have a big box of CDs when we go on holiday, and Pauline Moore and the Invisible Girls always got put in there. And the girls would ask, I can't remember, there was one song they always used to ask for it, and I can't remember which one it was now. I think it might have been Time Slipping, and they used to sing along to it in the car. And it's just one of those LPs that kind of will always be a part of me, really. Yeah. So I'm not going to burst into tears or anything.
No. And for somebody who says you can't put into words how you feel about it, you've used a lot of words.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but for all that, I still don't think you can possibly really get to the real grist of it.
Yeah.
Of what it actually means to you. It's impossible. It's such a feeling. Just knowing that LP is always around, and that at any given time you can just go and bang it on and just go, and everything's all right with the world. Yeah. It's fucking brilliant. I do have a list. I do have a big list of, when I say that's one of my favorite albums of all time, I do actually have a list of all the ones I could possibly think of that kind of is the definitive list.
Your Desert Island discs.
Yeah, that doesn't get added to that much. It's probably 20, 25 LPs on there. And they're in kind of chronological order rather than favourites. But if I was if push came to shove, I would imagine this would be in the top, probably in the top 5.
Right. But if they're in chronological order, you'd have to reorder them if you were going to then put it in the top 5.
I put them in chronological order, so I don't have to pick a favourite.
Okay. So to get into your top 25 or whatever it was you said of greatest albums, does that have to be faultless albums, or can you have an album with 8 terrific tracks on it, one that's not so good and one that's a duff one?
Yeah, I do let odd things slide. A lot of them are kind of for this kind of thing. I think for the feeling of something. Yeah. I mean, this album is a 10. It's a 10 out of 10. There's not a duff track on there. There's nothing I would take off of that LP. And there's nothing that can possibly be improved on either. So there are ones that creep in that might have a track, but I'm prepared to forgive it because the rest of the album is so good.
Okay.
It's I don't know. I don't have a particular criteria. It just has to be in there, and there's not that many. There's not that many from the last from this century as well, which I hate. I hate the fact that there aren't, because I think there should be. And I'm always very vocal about how you shouldn't give up listening to music. You should always be listening to new stuff. But I think I've just got the list up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 post 2000 LPs on there. And the rest of them. Yeah, in fact, there's some surprising omissions now. Now I look at it. Yeah, I'm very picky. I'm very picky for this list.
But there are omissions.
There are omissions, yeah. Probably you go, oh, you ain't got that on there.
It's not an exercise I've ever undertaken, so I don't know if I'd have a similar slant towards tracks from or albums from last century. It's something that maybe if I get an opportunity, I'll have a think about and see whether it's similar.
Yeah, there was a reason. There was a reason I did it, and I can't quite remember what it was.
Boredom.
Because I don't really like writing this, because I find, like I say, I always miss something, or I'll always kind of look again and think, oh shit, actually. But yeah, so the latest one on there is the first Phoebe Bridgers album. which is
Okay.
2017, I think.
I think you got to have time for albums to settle anyway. I
Yeah,
think it's easy to buy a new album, bung it on, and say, this is fucking incredible. This is wonderful. But 6 months down the line, will you still be thinking that? 6 years down the line, will
yeah,
you still be thinking that? I think albums from the last century are albums that have stood the test of time.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I think you got the chance to give them more attention
Yeah,
because now you've got so much fucking
that's
music.
true. Yeah.
You don't give it time to breathe.
No.
Six of these are from 1979.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's nothing before 1979.
Yeah. No, getting them was a big thing as well. We didn't have downloads, so you had to
No,
fork out your
yeah,
hard-earned paper money. You have to know what you were going to get, and then you
totally,
cherished it because it was a big old slab of
yeah,
vinyl. You cherished it and you played it and you played it. So it's good, and your age as well. I think that
yeah,
formation of your musical interests, they were all at the foundation of that. So I can see
yeah,
the logic of why it would be a list skewed that way.
yeah. And I don't tend to play things over and over anymore because there's always
Yeah,
these days there's always something else to go
that's
and
the
listen
trouble.
to
Yeah,
because you've got so much access to it. Whereas then you'd buy a record and because you had a limited amount of records, you just fucking play it over
yeah,
and over, and then it would sink in and it would become like part of you.
yeah.
Whereas you don't really get that anymore.
It's sad, really, because there are so many great records from
Yeah,
throughout all of the ages that you don't go back to. Sometimes I'll just stick a pin in my kind of music database and say I'm going to listen to that.
absolutely.
And you kind
Yeah,
of think,
yeah,
oh fuck it, I'm going to listen to that. And you put it on, you think, do you know what? That's bloody good.
yeah,
That's something I would not have. They were not chosen to put that on as the next record I
yeah.
listen to, but now that I have, I'm glad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do try and listen to random music. In fact, weirdly, thinking of it, the Phoebe Bridgers one, that's one record from the last 20 years that I just fell in love with on probably on by the second, third play.
Yeah,
I knew that was a fucking banger, and I
yeah.
knew I was going to love that forever. Weirdly, and that's the first time I can really think that that's happened for a long while,
Yeah.
you know, for a long while.
Interesting. Interesting. It's an
Yeah.
interesting
But I think
experiment.
I might, yeah, I think I might go back and just have a look at the records I've bought this century and see, if any of them are worth giving a listen and going, do you know, I think that's worth putting on the list.
I'd be very
Uh,
surprised if there
yeah,
weren't.
I know, I
There
know.
were albums just flashing through my head now, and I'm just thinking that
Yeah,
would be on, that would fucking be on, that would be on. But you don't know till you sit down and do it, do you? Think about
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll definitely do
Yeah,
that.
it's
And
interesting.
yeah. So next episode, I'll tell you how I got on. Remind me. Next episode when we do 1981, I'll I'll tell you if any stood out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry,
Right.
I went off on one then, but
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
at least it was quite interesting though. So I think it was. Fuck
Moderately.
it. Who knows? Yeah, you'll listen back. I think fucking
I'll edit all
bloody
that fucking shit out.
meandering old twat. Shut the fucker up. Shoot him.
Well,
Send him. Make him into soap.
the last episode was quite a brief one, so this one balances out, I think, the way it's
Yes.
going.
Yeah. Totally.
My next one will be quite brief, though, because I don't know an awful lot about this.
Excellent.
And I'm not really sure how I came by this. I've had it ever since it came out. And we've talked about how we both were big fans of horror films back in the 80s, early 80s, and that. And we used to go to the all-night horror shows at the Odeon. Which
Indeed,
seems bizarre, I couldn't imagine voluntarily sitting all night watching 5 films back to back in an uncomfortable chair. Now it just seems like, why would we do that? The adventure, I suppose.
Because we were fucking kids. We were kids. That's why.
Indeed,
we didn't give a fuck. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
I think it was just so kind of so unorthodox. It was, God, people don't do this. They're going to do something different.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
I'm not sure.
blood-spattered bride. That was a cracker.
One of the things about those horror shows was it seemed you get one night's films would all be really quite good, and then several months later they'd do another one. All the films were shit. But yeah, there were some good ones, some fun. But anyway, the reason I mention that is because this next one that I've chosen is actually the original soundtrack of a horror film from 1980, and it's one of Dario Argento's films.
All right.
But I can't remember much about the film, but it would have been having seen the film that I bought this album. And stop looking at the internet.
I'm not. I was swatting. I was actually swatting a fly.
Oh, right, okay. Stop asking the fly. No, this is the film Inferno, which was a prequel to the classic Suspiria. Yes.
The Three Sisters, was it?
That's right.
Three Sisters.
Three Sisters. Yeah. The witch and the creepy building and stuff.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack, which you may not remember, was by Keith Emerson.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
And I've never been a fan of ELP. Obviously, Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Is that because they were shit?
It was prog music. And
it was a bit. You know, I tried to listen. I've tried to listen to ELP, and sometimes I go, "Oh, that's really good," and then they'll do something so unutterably shite. You'll go, "What the fuck were you thinking?" I think that was the prog thing, that you could do something really different, and then they thought it was really cool to do something stupid and pointless and unlistenable, and go da, and you go, and all the prog fans go, "Oh, fantastic!" And anyone who's like a kind of a part-time prog fan will go, "Yeah, what the fuck? Are you taking the piss?" You know, it's just got a bit like tedious,
I couldn't say I'd recognise much of any ELP.
You know, I bought a farm. Here's fucking half an hour of my cows farting. You know, then they'd bung that on and call it a fucking concept, and it's like, oh, fuck off, you cow farting twat.
Oh, calm yourself down. Calm yourself down, for goodness sake. Anyway, this soundtrack is a really, really good record in itself. You don't have to have seen the film. You don't have to be even familiar with Dario Argento's particular brand of horror. It's just a great record. It came out on ECM. I'm not sure why ECM decided that it would come out on a gatefold sleeve with all of that space that they could have done such interesting things with in the gatefold. What they ended up doing was just put this massive blow-up picture of Keith Emerson's face leering at you, which I thought, you know, you could have done so much more within that. There's no point in having a gatefold sleeve. And let's face it, you know, back in the 80s, a gatefold sleeve was like, wow, what's going to be in there? All the lyrics, pictures of the band, some fantastically interesting writing, all those things you could look forward to. But no, ECM puts big picture of Keith, a big old grin at you. Anyway, so the album, the soundtrack, is mostly piano led, and it's such a nice, such a really beautiful little tune. And like most soundtracks to some degree, they have the motif that reappears in different ways. And this piano line reappears. Sometimes it's with a full orchestral backing, and that's conducted by Godfrey Salmon. Sometimes it's very dramatic, sometimes it's very light and eerie, but it's the same notes, the same tune. And it's interesting to see how many ways you can interpret what this piece of music is. Obviously, because it's a dramatic Dario Argento horror film, some of it is very bombastic and grandiose, and yet some of it is just the piano, and it's you can sense, if you didn't know it was a horror film soundtrack, you would know, listening to it, that would work with a horror film soundtrack. And the tracks give it the game away in a lot of them anyway. So you got a track called Rose Gets It, and another one called A Cat Attic Attack.
Oh no.
Another that faces into one of the persistent tropes of horror films, Rose's descent into the cellar, which was an ominous, ominous, you know, when you're screaming at the screen, "Don't go down into the cellar, Rose." There she goes, down into the cellar, and you get the creepy, ominous music.
Who saw that coming?
Who indeed?
Who saw that coming?
Who indeed?
Fucking hell, Rose! Come on, put yourself together.
even when that little tune gets replayed in a track called Eliza's Story, where it's played not on a piano but a really cheesy wavering synth, very much harking back to the days of ELP, you kind of think that shouldn't work, but it does. It's okay, it's fine. So it is a good album, but it's evidently a soundtrack. And as we said before, Emerson had been in prog rock behemoths ELP with Greg Lake, formerly King Crimson, and Carl Palmer of Atomic Rooster. And before that, he'd been in another prog rock band called The Nice. He committed suicide, sadly, 10 years ago.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Shot himself in the head. It was
That'll do it.
That certainly did it, and from what I can gather, is a combination of things. He got a developing nervous system disorder that was making it difficult for him to play keyboards anymore. Coupled with the fact that he was having money problems. Always fascinating, isn't it, that people who had been such heights commercially find themselves then in money troubles. But whatever he'd done, bought too many private jets or whatever. He got himself in money troubles. His second marriage was falling apart, and he was a functioning alcoholic. So I think all those things
and someone had threatened to play him side 3 of that LP with the cows farting on as well, probably. And he thought, fuck, I'm not listening to that.
But it's a really nice album, really interesting album. It was a great film from what I can remember of it, although time has erased much of it. I did have a look on streaming platforms. It's not on any of the streaming platforms that I could
think
find.
it's on. I think if you do a subscription to Arrow,
oh fuck that!
I think it's on
fucking subscriptions.
$4.99 a month.
Yeah, I don't care.
Amazon Prime, and they have got some pretty good, decent stuff on there if you can be bothered to look for it. Lots of old Italian 80s horror.
Yeah, well, I'd actually go on eBay and find the old VHS video.
Yeah,
of it,
you could. Yeah, I used to have the VHS video actually years and years ago.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was cut to fuck.
Yeah, probably. We used to go into the video shop on Neem Parade, didn't we? And there were always videos under the counter. Because, at that time, there was this whole video nasties thing, and films that had only recently come out suddenly vanished. But I can't remember the name of the guy who ran the video shop on Neem Parade, but he always knew that what we were looking for, we wouldn't find on his
Probably
shelves.
something like Dodgy Steve or something like that.
He was a bit of a wide boy. He was a middle-aged guy, but obviously he was a bit kind of a little bit flash, a little bit whir, a little bit that. And I think he wanted to be kind of down with the punks and that. So he's kind of like, lads, I know what it's like. I've got something for you here. Lots of blood and gore. Band this one. I spit on your grave. She cuts his cock off, mate. You love that.
Do you know, we were looking through. I was. There's a website called The Modern House, and they have all these fucking really all these really expensive properties in London, all these architectural design stuff. And there was a flat on there today, and you just look at it, and you go, "Oh, if I won the Euro Millions, I'd fucking buy that." There was a flat on there today in the old de Havilland building, and this guy had this massive collection of old horror film posters on the walls. Yeah. And one of them was "I Spit on Your Grave."
Really?
I was talking to, I was looking at it and Hannah was looking at it as well. And I was going, "Look, I spit on your grave." And he had one of the Ilsa ones, Ilsa something in the Gulag.
Right. Oh God, yeah. SS Experiment Camp.
Yeah. Loads of old shit like that. All these posts and that. It was decent. I mean, a fucking hell of a collection. I bet it was a few quid's worth there.
I don't think you'd have to buy the flat to acquire a similar collection, perhaps.
No. It was a nice flat.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I think you've said before anyway. You look at that website, looking at rich people's houses. I think it's a strange thing to do.
It's property porn, isn't it?
I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd buy that.
If you won the Euro Millions, you wouldn't. You would feed the children of the world.
I would. Yes, indeed. From my flat full of horror posters.
With your big V8 American car sitting out the front.
Yep. Hopefully we'll make a better noise than that. That
sounds like treading on a cat or something.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go. Keith Emerson, Inferno. It's an interesting record indeed.
Excellent. Okay, so my number 4, I get a shift on because I'm I know we've been fucking ages on this. My number 4 is Boy by U2.
Oh, good grief, yeah.
Yes. I kind of, again, this is another one. I've looked at all the records I'd listed, and I thought I wasn't necessarily listening to the LP all the time, but definitely listening to the singles.
Yeah.
Particularly 11 O'Clock TikTok, which isn't on here.
Oh, yeah.
But that was, and I think I discovered U2 through Keith's, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because he used to have, as well as having the punk box on the counter, he had some cheap boxes as well. So when something didn't sell, he bung it in the cheap box. And I was flipping through there one day, and I found Out of Control EP by U2 in like a CBS thing. And I looked, I thought, U2, and I knew the name. I'd read a review of it somewhere, and it was like about 40p or something. So I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll buy that. Took it home. Great record, absolutely great record. And I subsequently sold it a few years later for quite a substantial amount of money. But it was really good. And then I think 11 O'Clock TikTok came out after that. I fucking loved that.
That's a good record.
That was a banging single. That was an absolute classic. And then kind of, I think I probably had this. I got a feeling I had it on cassette. And because A Day Without Me had come out, which I don't think I'd bought, but I Will Follow, I definitely bought that on 7-inch.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, no matter what your opinion of is of U2 these days, fucking great band.
That's some massive songs, yeah.
And Boy was a brilliant debut LP. They had a real sound, they had their own sound from the start, and I think it was Edge's guitar, wasn't it, really?
Yeah,
because a lot of the time there wasn't a whole lot going on guitar wise, but what he did, he kind of created these textures, and using, I don't know what, I mean, I know very little about guitar pedals and effects and everything, but whatever he was using, he kind of made his own, really. And that first LP has such a distinctive sound to it, and it was their own sound. It wasn't really. I mean, you could make mild comparisons with other bands of the time, but I think U2 kind of in that kind of time-honored way got lots and lots of influences together and turned it into something really unique. And I still think Boy to this day stands out as a fantastic record. I mean, possibly sounds a tiny bit dated now, and it doesn't help that I think if you listen to it now, you do tend to compare it to all the later stuff they did. You can't help it. It's because it's never just going to be the first U2 record. It's going to be the first U2 record followed by all the other ones, and you look at where they are now, and I don't think it can. A lot of people will find that colours their judgment of it, but it is still a great record, really well made. And weirdly, the second album, October, that's a really good album, and a definite step forward. But at the time, was written in the studio. They'd gone into the studio with fucking nothing planned, and had to pretty much do it in a matter of weeks. And if I remember, they all kind of thought some of the songs were really weak, and they possibly were, but I think they were such a good band at that time, they got away with it, and that's a great record as well. And then obviously they kind of went on with what was next? War was the next one, wasn't it? And then went absolutely, it went mad then. But yeah, it's a really good kind of post-punk record. There's lots and lots of really good footage of them live from around that. Well, I say lots. I mean, there are a couple of whole concerts that are available on YouTube.
Under a Blood Red Sky was good.
Yeah, well, I mean, even previous to that, I think there was possibly a Rock Goes to College or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a German concert, I think,
They were on Whatever You Didn't Get. I think they did a stint on there.
Quite possibly, yeah. But the early stuff around Boy, it is really, I mean, because they look very, very different as well.
Yeah.
And very of their time, you know, chip paint on the jeans and kind of stupid haircuts and lots of fucking awful clothes. Which I'm sure we're all guilty of wearing at one point or another. It's just it's a real good snapshot of what post-punk, new wave, whatever you kind of want to call it, looked like at that time, and it's probably one of the best examples of it. You know, I mean, people will go, "Oh, fuck off," you know, there's better stuff. It probably is. But from what I'd listened to, you know, this was the stuff that stood out.
Yeah.
And it's a great album. And you know, if you're gonna listen to it, try and keep an open mind and try not to think of, you know, twirling fucking flag posts on stage and doing, you know, massive gigs in fucking in Ormo domes. You know, just try and think of them as they were a little club band. Playing tiny gigs and making a fucking really good racket.
They did do good in the end, didn't they? My goodness. So there are a few bands that have got to that heady heights, the size of the performances, the size they are around the world. And obviously with Bono's keen interest in politics, the way that he anyway got integrated with world leadership and stuff, it's quite difficult to think of a band that made so much progress commercially, culturally, and politically, really. And I never thought, absolutely. I don't really think of myself as a fan of U2. Rachel, my missus, she really likes U2. So I hear it from time to time. But, you know, it's not music that I don't like to hear. But I don't think about if somebody said, "Are you a fan of U2?" I'd kind of, whatever. But they do make good records. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I listened to Boy today, you know, while I was getting ready for this. And it is a fucking brilliant LP.
You prepare for this podcast. You don't give that impression.
Believe it or not, I know. Well, I prepare for it. I work out exactly what I'm going to say. 2 minutes before we start recording, I completely forget everything, and then just have to waffle on. You know, I do actually make notes occasionally, and then totally forget to look at them while I'm talking, and try and
the flow.
Kind of. Yeah, try and make it all up and try and remember it all, you know, off the top of my head, which sometimes works.
Sometimes.
And sometimes I fall flat on my arse. But yes.
Okay, good. I'll go along with that choice. Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. So that was number 4.
That was your number 4. My number 4, then is I mentioned this band simply as music I was listening to on a previous podcast, but we've not had a proper section for them. And to be honest, it's not really surprised, because this album, whilst it is a fantastic standout album, I didn't really like the ones before it, and I didn't really like what's come after it. But Remain in Light by Talking Heads is a fucking awesome album. Yeah. When Once in a Lifetime, the big hit single, hit the charts in 1980, you know, as I said, I wasn't a fan of Talking Heads at all. And the video was weird and the music was a little bit different. I wasn't a huge fan of that single, but it was interesting enough to prompt me to go and get the album. And my goodness, what a terrific album. It's their 4th album, or the 5th if you include the live album in 1979. It was on Sire. And it is just some of the greatest jagged white funk, if you like, that you're going to find. It's all built around West African polyrhythms, or a lot of it was built around West African polyrhythms, which Brian Eno had allegedly introduced to David Byrne, and he really got into it and wanted to experiment with it. And when you go through the tracks,
didn't they do My Life in the Bush of Ghosts? Was that David Byrne?
That was David Byrne, not Talking Heads. It was David Byrne.
David Byrne and Brian Eno.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were allegedly some of the first proper samplists, and that's a really interesting album. The music hasn't got the bite, the funk bite that Remain in Light has, But it was interesting because they'd obviously sampled a real life exorcism quite famously, and there was a bit of furore over that on My Life in a Bush of Ghosts.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
It wasn't that, no.
Oh, okay, just checking.
But it was quite eerie. You kind of park the music and you just get captivated by the samples and knowing that this is a real exorcism that's going on, as much as an exorcism can be real and not a religious performative exercise, depending on your beliefs. But that's an interesting record. But as I say,
I was going to check you on that. But yes, thanks for clearing that up.
Okay. but the music on Remaining Light, it's got this white funk bite, and it's glorious. It's glorious. In some respects, with the back line of Tina Weymouth on bass and Chris France on drums, just powering along with the back line, it's almost like the repetition of systems music, because they get in a groove and they're locked in the groove and they just go, and they're not complicated. There's nothing incredibly sophisticated going on, and in fact a lot of the bass that Tina Weymouth is playing is just a couple of notes a bar, and with big chunks of silence, so it really accentuates the bass when it comes in, but it really does pulse along like, I don't know, like a pugilist jabbing away. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh,
yeah,
get you pugilist. Yeah.
So you got these tracks, The Great Curve, Cross-Eyed and Painless, Seen and Not Seen. They're really, really excellent, terrific pieces of music. For me, I mean, it's always a record that comes out when the sun's shining, because it's so upbeat and so kind of hot American streets music. I love it. There is some contrast on the album. Now, Seen and Not Seen is a slower track, which is largely about fabricating appearances and so on. But the closing track, Overlord, is much, much slower. It's almost doom rock in comparison, and it's dark, and the guitars and keys are almost a drone. Even the bass, which is prominent everywhere else and drives it along everywhere else, gets kind of submerged in this kind of soundscape of murk and ominousness. And what it transpires is that David Byrne had written this last track having heard Joy Division, and he liked what he heard, and he wanted to experiment with trying to do something himself. So he wrote this last track with that in mind, and the lyrics as well are about mental collapse and the oppressive weight of society and culture. It's nothing like really the rest of the album, which is joyous and lurching along. It is very much not Joy Division, but you can see what he was trying to do. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened to Talking Heads afterwards. Really, they had all of these other records, and She Was, Road to Nowhere, Blind, and all these other things. None of them, for me, ever kind of ticked the boxes again, the heights that they got to on Remaining Light. And I think it has been, I'm pretty sure it's been their biggest seller right up to date. They carry on, they keep going, I think, in the main, but it's not a band that I follow, because I've been disappointed so many times afterwards. Once you've done a record like that, at least try and do something a little bit as good.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do the same album again and again and again, but you had something with that, and I think they just kind of then parked it and went on and let's do some pop music or some rock music. David Byrne's gone off and worked with just about everybody himself, but that album, for me, one of the standouts of 1980.
I can quite confidently say I have never listened to a Talking Heads LP.
Not even that one.
Nope.
No.
Okay. I've listened to the singles. I think I own a 12-inch of that song you were just talking about, the names Once in a Lifetime. I think I picked it up because I picked it up in a charity shop.
What's on the B-side of that? Do you know?
I haven't got a bloody clue. I can look, but yeah, I just, they never really did anything for me.
Okay.
And I never bothered. I never bothered listening to anything. And I don't regret it either. I don't really think I'm missing anything.
You can't say you don't regret listening to something you've never heard. Because you don't know.
I've still no urge to listen to
not
it.
Even,
what I've heard
not
of
even
it,
what I've just said.
No, I don't think that would. No, I just don't. I just don't. I just never really liked them.
No,
it never really floated my boat. So I've never listened. I've never listened to anything. I mean, most bands, I'll listen to an album, just see what I think. No, but Talking Heads never appealed to me.
Okay, well,
not once.
You may not regret it, but you should, because you're missing some good stuff. Certainly on that album. As I said, I mean, it is just that album for me. I mean, Stop Making Sense is good. 77's got some bits and pieces on it that are okay.
Yeah.
But Remaining Light's got some absolutely storming tracks on it, and a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not. Okay.
Do your number 5.
My final one is, I've got 6 to pick from, and I genuinely could pick any of these.
Try to avoid mentioning them all.
I'm going to plump for Colossal Youth by Young Marble Giants.
Okay.
Possibly because it's just a bit weirder than the rest of them. And I really loved it. I've still got a couple of copies of it now. I accidentally bought a reissue and found out I'd bought the reissue before. But I remember, I remember around 1980. I'm pretty sure I picked up Final Day, the single from Keith's Punk Box.
Okay.
Just such a great single. And looking back, totally different to anything I was listening to at the time, because this album, I mean, Colossal Youth, is so quiet. It's like it's not really there. It's
maybe it isn't.
It is such a quiet album. There's so little to it. I mean, it's there's bass, there's a drum machine that they didn't actually take the drum machine to the recording studio. They just had a cassette with the pre-recorded drums on.
Yeah, right.
And played the cassette and then played along to it. So all you've got really is this kind of little scratchy guitar, a kind of a not a funky bass, but it's got that tone that feels like at some point it's going to burst into a funky bit, but it never does. It's so understated. And then Alison Statton's voice, which is almost a whisper. There's so little to it. It is the most minimalist music you'll ever hear, or from around that time anyway. And considering some of the other stuff, considering I've just been talking about UK Subs, Stiff Little Fingers, we were listening to Discharge and Crass. I mean, this was just such a like a total turnaround to what we were listening to. But I fucking loved it. I just thought it was amazing. And I think it's because you had to think about it. You were kind of listening to and thinking, but what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do here? Because it was like, it all seemed quite effortless as well. And not in that it was easy for them. It was just like there wasn't much effort put into it. Just this scratchy guitar that at times just went, and this bass that went, or similar. This plonky old drum machine going on in the background, and then her virtually whispering these songs about nuclear war and other subjects. And it was, and I think it was that absolute sense of bafflement that kept me listening to it, and trying to work out, it was almost existential. You're listening to it thinking, but what's it all about? Do you know what I'm saying? Were you? I can't remember if you were a fan of them or not.
No, I was just having a look to see if I'd got any of their records. I've got 4 singles, and only one of them I think's okay. The searching for Mr. Right. I've got Colossal Youth, which I really don't like.
That's the LP, isn't it? Colossal
There's
Youth.
a track, Colossal Youth.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm with you.
Yeah. So not a big fan at all. I don't like that sound a great deal.
Oh, I just thought I kind of thought you'd like it. I thought it would be your thing, given that it was so different. I mean, you got starting off with Searching for Mr. Right, and it's quiet. And you think, oh,
that's okay. I don't mind that,
but doesn't it? Yeah. But it was but the whole thing was so minimalist. And then when they did, and after that they did a I think it was a test card EP, which I think was just instrumental,
right?
And I was equally baffled by that, but kept playing
You're
it.
Easily baffled,
but I am easily baffled. But musically, I was always quite, I'd get it straight away. But like I say, listening to Colossal Youth, I mean, even listening to it now, it's such an alien music. It still sounds quite, displaced. It doesn't sound like it belongs anywhere really. And I sent I sent it to when Lily asked me for a load of LPs, or to send her some stuff to listen to on Spotify, and I sent her, and this was what I sent her, and she likes it as well.
Right.
She's listened to a couple of songs, and and she said I really like that. I think that's really good. But it's just a fantastic album, and like I say, it's just so unique. I don't even think anyone's really ever tried to copy it either, or copy that sound. I think it's just
it's not very nice.
Well, maybe the fact that it was so. It was all so naive that it's impossible to actually recreate it and recreate that sound.
Maybe.
And you'd never. And if you did try and do it, I don't think you'd ever be able to do it as well as they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not a lot more I can say about it. They've reformed a couple of times and played it in full, but I kind of hoping they'll do it again. I'd love to go and see them play it live. I think it would be quite an experience.
Right.
But yeah, I just think it's a great record.
Okay.
And there you go. So that's the one I picked from my last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, last 6.
Okay.
Last 6.
Well, I'm sure if we get the inclination to do so, as we've said at the outset, looking at 1980 as a year for releases, whether it's singles or albums, I think certainly I was surprised when you mentioned let's do 1980. I said, yes, great. There were some great records out. I hadn't realised just quite how many of my favourite records from 1980. So we may come back to this. We may come back to this.
Yeah. I think we'll go. My suggestion was do 81, 82, and then miss out the ones we've already done. Because you could quite easily go through, because the 80s was a fabulous decade for music, probably the best. I mean, obviously, because we were the age we were in the 80s. That made a hell of a difference.
It did. It's going to be one of those things, the kids of the 50s thought rock and roll was the most amazing thing. The kids of the 60s thought hippie and the Grateful Dead and so on. Then there was rave in the 90s. Yeah. When you're a kid and you're just discovering music, that's the best music in the world.
Totally.
Although obviously we did have the best music in the world.
Well, of course we did, yeah. Yeah, fuck all them lot.
Anyway, my final one. We've had one kind of ex-prog rocker in Keith Emerson, ex of ELP, and bizarrely, because I didn't plan it this way, I've now got another one because Genesis man Peter Gabriel came along and he left the band, and Genesis, like ELP, I'd never taken any notice of at all. I couldn't name a single song. I saw them perform live on TV once, and I was absolutely aghast at the complexity of the music and the incredible musicianship, but I couldn't really connect with it as listening pleasure. It was just extraordinarily clever. So I never really got them.
Well, yeah, you say clever, I say wanky. But yeah.
I'm going to stick with clever. But then Peter Gabriel left, and the next thing I knew, Salisbury Hill came on the radio. I thought, what a wonderful piece of music that is.
Mm.
So this 1977 album, which is really good and a bit strange and got me interested. And I've been following Gabriel ever since.
Which LP is that? What's the? Because there's one he's got a. There's one where he's in. There's one he's in a car.
That's the first one. Yeah.
Then there's Fingers.
Yeah.
And then so Melty Face is the third one.
Melt number 3 is 1980, and it is a fantastic album. I thought the first album 77 was brilliant. I thought the second album was a bit dodge. It's got some good tracks on it. DIY. I think San Jacinto might be on that one as well. I can't remember, but that's okay. But Melt number 3 blew the covers off, as it were.
Which is the one I've got one of them, and it's in German.
Well,
he sang it.
Well,
he did
it's a German
version.
import of something. Then, I would guess.
No, it's the German import, but he sings it in German.
Well, it's not a whole album, not 1, 2, or 3 album. Anyway.
Yeah, well, whatever.
You'll have to have a dig around. And
I will.
Anyway, back in episode 16, I'd mentioned Gabriel already as one of my favourite male vocalists, and it's
and one of your favourite angels as well.
It's the timbre of his voice, the craftsmanship of his great music, the fact that he's bringing all this world music stuff together, and he does a lot of good work out and around as well. So odd that I got Emerson and Gabriel, but having not been a prog rock fan at all in any way. But there you go. There were so many albums to choose from. I could have gone with so many great punk albums. Fresh Fruit from Rotten Vegetables, End of the Century. There was just so many great records, and I thought I'll steer away from it a little bit because I expected that you were going to have In the Flat Field on there, and Kiss in the Dream House. I think was out that year, No, Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope was the Banshees album in 1980. Yeah. So great albums. So I kept off the beaten track a little bit just for a bit of variation. But I do genuinely love this album. Produced by Steve Lillywhite, recorded in 1979. It's got Paul Weller playing guitar.
Who also did Boy by he also
did he?
Produced Boy.
Oh, right,
by U2.
Okay. It's got some session musicians on it as well. The track And Through the Wire has got Paul Weller playing guitar. Couple of the tracks, 3 of the tracks has got Robert Fripp playing on it as well. And Gabriel's erstwhile bandmate Phil Collins, no acrimony at all. He's along playing some drums. Although I don't know about that. Was that EastEnders?
That was fucking In the Air Tonight, you twat.
Oh!
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
That sounds like a man with a wooden leg walking down the street.
Did you ever see that there was a video? There was a video years ago of a kid riding his bike down a hill, and he goes out of control and crashes into these dustbins, and it fucking and someone's put the Phil Collins, and because the crash goes dum ba-dum, and then someone's added the rest of the drum beat to it. It's fucking brilliant.
No, don't remember that. Collins was on the drums on some of it, although there isn't a huge amount of drums on it because Gabriel at this time had really got into drum machines. So a lot of the music on this album is predominantly drum machines, but there are still drums on there. Kate Bush obviously appears on the big hit, the number 4 chart hit Games Without Frontiers, and she breathes sexily Je sans frontières.
Je sans frontières.
Yeah, not quite like Kate Bush. I don't think you're going to get mistaken any day soon for that. But it's got some fantastic songs, lyrically fantastically, musically fantastically put together. The arrangements are great, the sounds are great, and the themes are great. The opening track, Intruder, is really kind of quite ominous and creepy. And Gabriel was singing about how he can get into your room, find things, cuts the telephone lines, and it's very sinister and brilliant. Start is a piece of music on there. It's only 1 minute and 21 seconds long, and it's an instrumental. Yeah, that's Melt. Oh, you got the German version.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, there's a German.
No, well, I haven't got the German one. No.
No. I was just,
Yeah, that's the one.
Saying there was.
That's this album, but yeah.
In German.
In German. So start
Yeah.
it wouldn't make any difference anyway because it's an instrumental and it's just fabulous, deeply emotional, really wonderful piece of music. It is a crime that it's only 1 minute and 20 seconds long because it is so heart-meltingly beautiful. Family Snapshot, lovely, delicate song, a wonderful ballad-like piece, but the lyrics are about preparations for an assassination and then the wretched childhood and loneliness that motivated the singer to take steps to assassinate a public figure. And then obviously the closing track, Biko, all about Stephen Biko, the South African black anti-apartheid activist who was arrested in 1977 and subsequently beaten to death by state security officers. And that's a real touch point for Gabriel, who I think he co-founded WOMAD, and he did loads and loads of stuff to bring musicians from all over the world, particularly the African continent, into the wider awareness of the West. He's a marvelous person. This is a fantastic record. It's got great stories on it and a panoply of emotional triggers from fear, sadness, anger, joy. It's an absolute classic. I unashamedly play, despite the fact that it's a throw off from a probably quite awful prog rock band.
Yes, bloody proggers.
I should probably. It makes me think maybe I should listen to Genesis or ELP just to see what it was like.
Don't listen to ELP. They really are fucking awful. I mean, there's a couple of good songs in there, but there's a whole lot of old pretentious wankery going on.
I don't think I'd give them a lot of time. I think it would just listen to a few bits and pieces and see, am I missing something here? But hey, probably not. There's far too much of the stuff to listen to. But
I'm sure they thought it was either a bit of a laugh or it might be a bit. Yeah, but it's just fucking rubbish.
I've never heard any.
Some of it really is. I hate, as I've said before, I hate describing music as rubbish, but it genuinely isn't good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think yes, ELP, Genesis, all those. They're just something I've never. I couldn't tell you one piece of music from many of those.
Yeah. I have delved into prog a little bit.
Right.
And I've listened to some Yes, and yes, I can kind of. If you take it with a pinch of salt, it is listenable. Okay. I've made clear my thoughts on ELP.
Yes.
Old Genesis, it's all right. There's some obscure prog that's not half bad. It's very listenable. There's some stuff by, is it Camel?
Okay.
They're all right. And I've got a really good little booklet. I bought a record collector booklet of the most valuable prog records ever, because they're worth a fucking fortune. Some of the old obscure ones, if you ever find copies out in the wild. And a lot of them have been re-released and are on streaming.
Okay.
So I've had a listen just to see, what it was like, because my cousins were always into prog, and I never got it. They used to drive me fucking mad.
I shouldn't find it totally offensive because I do love Pink Floyd and nearly all the Pink Floyd stuff. Like, so it's not a million miles removed. I wouldn't think. Well, but who knows?
Right, that's it then, isn't it? Are we done?
I think we are. Apart from the listening list, the listening. Yeah.
Did you have many more 1980s records? Just out of curiosity.
I've got a list of ones that I was writing down. And I've got it in front of me here. There must be, there must be like you 30 or 40 on there.
The ones I'd pruned it down. Obviously there was, 17 Seconds came out in 1980.
Of course.
But I've done that so many times. I didn't want to do it. The first Killing Joke LP.
Yeah.
But we've done that. Sandinista but the Clash.
Yeah.
Which is a really good single LP.
It's a nice idea. I think the sentiment's spot on.
Yeah, I had the three. There were three that if I hadn't picked Young Marble Giants at the end, I'd have picked Metamatic by John Fox.
Yeah.
And I really was tempted to do the first Cockney Rejects LP because that was in that year in 1980. I fucking loved the Cockney Rejects. I really did. I think Bad Man is one of the great punk singles. I think it's an absolute classic. Also from that year, the Chords LP.
Oh right, I hadn't got that one down.
Yeah, they were mod. They were kind of a mod revival band who were like a kind of a, you know, it sounds a bit harsh, but kind of a second fiddle jam. But were really good, really good. And the Jam sound effects came out that year. That's a banger.
Yeah. That's on my list. Yeah,
fresh fruit for rotten vegetables.
Absolutely. Kaleidoscope we mentioned.
Yes. Searching for the Young Soul Rebels, Dexy's Midnight Runners.
Voice of America, Cabaret Voltaire.
Yeah. And there were some great singles. I've lost I had a page I was looking at earlier with a load of great singles, and I've gone off it and I can't find the bloody thing again now.
Well, don't spoil that because we might do that one day.
Yeah. I think singles is worth going into.
I didn't buy many singles.
No,
I was the opposite side because I didn't care much for singles. So most of my listening has been albums through and through. I'm sure I've got enough 1980 singles to warrant 5. But
But if we do 1981 next, albums, you're gonna fucking struggle again to get it down to 5. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because I kept going through things today and going, oh, that was 1981. Oh, that was 1981. Oh, that was okay. And then thinking, fucking hell, you know, there are.
I can think of a few. The bigger difficulty is because I try not to repeat. So, you know, there will be things like follow the leaders or what's this for or whatever. And they kind of think, well, we've talked a lot about Killing Joke, but What's This For is such an incredible album.
It is. Yes, absolutely.
We'll have a look. I'm sure there'll be stuff.
Yeah, 1981. And more Cure as well. Faith, 1981, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Yes, anyway, so what have you been listening to this week, Jake?
Right, my listening this week, Addis Ababa by Imperial Tiger Orchestra from 2010, who do some very good Ethiopian music, which is odd because they're a Swiss band, but I got a few of their albums and they're quite interesting. I've listened to a compilation album called Offbeat, a Red Hot Sound Trip, from 1990, which was put together by Paul Heck for an AIDS benefit, and has got My Bloody Valentine on it, and Tortoise, and Barry Adamson, and all kinds of others. But listening to All of Our Yesterday Tomorrow by AMP, which is a triple album. AMP being one of those Bristolian bands in that circuit of Flying Saucer Attack and Matt Elliott, bands like that. Everything All the Time by Band of Horses, American rock band. Do you like them? I thought you were going to sneer.
Yeah. No, really Everything All the Time. Has that got Ghost in My House?
No, not on this album.
No One Loves You Like I Do?
No. But that's what I've been listening to anyway. And finally, from 2007, the glorious Polytheistic Fragments by Sir Richard Bishop. For ex-Sun City Man. I'm not
Guitars.
really sure.
He does. Is it ragga?
You're absolutely right. Yeah. It's fascinating listening. It's beautiful.
Yes, I think I got quite into that in the 2000s.
Yeah,
and I think I listened to. So I think I might have gone and seen him at the Portland.
Oh right.
Yeah, I think I may well have been and seen him at the Portland actually.
I don't know if he's really a sir. I doubt it.
No, I don't think he is. No,
I doubt it, and I think it's probably against some law to call yourself sir or lord or anything like that.
It's like Doctor Who. He's not really a doctor. Fucking hell, you know. I said, "Is that an unguentano?" He said, "I don't fucking know." Let me go back in time and get a proper doctor from the 1800s, and he just came back, stuck a fucking leech on it. So you know, it's like.
Oh my God, he's off in a whole world of his own. Steady, it's getting late. Steady.
So
on.
what have I been listening to? I've been listening to Emotional Junglist by Nia Archives, which is a new LP. Okay. She's like a singer, sings over jungle. Fantastic, really, really good. I've fucking been listening to Since I Left You with the Avalanches.
Oh,
the LP.
Yeah, that's a great record.
And I kind of, it's one of those records that every now and again I kind of come back to and go, oh, I love this so much, and then just play it to death. And I couldn't find it. I've just bought the worst second-hand copy that was on Discogs because it's the cheapest. So I can have a listen to it properly on vinyl again, because I can't remember what I did. I think I might have sold it at some point.
No way.
I've
just
been listening
download
to
the digital one's got lots of extras on it.
Yeah, I just like I've got it. I've been listening to it on there, but I like to play the vinyl. And apparently, if you listen to different versions of it, it sounds different. It's got different samples on.
Oh, right.
Because of licensing issues. So the version that you can get from Australia is different than the version that's in the UK, and that's different than the version possibly in the US. And the remixed versions, the newer versions, are different than the old ones, and some of the samples have had to be digitally recreated and everything.
Good God.
Yeah, and there's a really interesting documentary about it on YouTube as well. And I probably, when I get it, I may well do a reel for Instagram on it because I do love it. It's one of my favourites.
It is a great record, yeah.
Yes. Then I've been listening to Role Model Hermit by Mary in the Junkyard, which is really good. That's a new album.
Okay.
Breathing Under Honey by Static Cleaner Lost Reward, which is kind of a real weird post-punky poppy dub LP.
Okay.
Proper bonkers. Came out in 2023 and just been re-released. And then I've been listening to Normal Never Was, the remix, the Crass remix things, because we were talking about it in the last episode.
Yeah.
And I dug it out. And, I had it on in the car the other day, and it's even better than I remembered it being.
Oh, I can't listen to punk in the car.
Yeah.
I find listening to punk in the car is not conducive for a journey without road rage.
Yes, fair play. I can understand that. Yeah. I've been listening to. I usually a lot of the time I listen to the Newsagents podcast in the car when I'm driving.
Oh, right.
That's Emily Maitlis, John Sopel.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're really good. I like that. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there we're done. I have to say hello to the greatest playlist ever.
Hello.
DJ Substance, Brooklyn Pete, Robin the Supergirl Wonder.
Ooh.
I missed the super. Well, that was close. I missed the super out. God, I'd have been in trouble.
You would have been.
They do the second best podcast in the world. Obviously, not quite as good as us, which I like to keep pointing out to them in the hoping that they'll joust back at some point. But they do always mention us. Also, the Friday Vinyl Club podcast, which I was guest on.
So you keep saying
it's really good. Yeah, well, I do. It's nice to give him a shout. The Jamie who does it is a really nice bloke, and I managed to get through the whole interview without swearing once as well,
and without singing when he told you don't sing because I might lose Jake as a listener.
I said yes. Oh, you listened to it? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So no singing, and I managed to get through the whole thing without swearing as well, which was a struggle. But yes, and yes, he did point out at the end. He edited it out, but he did point out at the end how potty mouthed we were, and I was like, I got all sheepish.
I think he says that on the broadcast.
Yeah. Oh, he possibly did, yeah. So I went, yeah, a real bit. Yeah. I was like Kevin and Perry. Yes, Miss Patterson. Yeah, just fucking. I'm sorry, I swear. Oh, I didn't mean to call that bag a twat. Fucking So. Yes, so there you go. So that's us done. Next time it will be 1981. We'll have another list of about 30 records that we're going to have to prune down to 5 each.
Yeah.
Jake will go into lots of detail. I'll just babble incoherently, as normal. So yes. So we will see you all in a couple of weeks.
Goodbye.